What's up? It's Sierra.
Hey, it's Ebony.
And welcome to the Real Play Podcast.
This is Ebony.
And this is Sierra. And today we have a special guest. We have Miss Joan here. She is one of my discipleship sisters. And she's here to talk about a topic that I think a lot of people will be able to relate to. So welcome, Joan. How are you doing this afternoon?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. So we're just going to give you a quick chance to just give them a brief description or introduction of yourself. I don't want to introduce you. I'll let you'll do it the best way. So tell them a little bit about yourself.
Oh, wow. I haven't had to introduce myself. You should have told me this in advance. I would have got it all together. Well, my name is Joan, and I am from the Baltimore area. I do know Sierra from church. And I'm just 42 years young and have a lot of life experiences behind me and much more to go, just better. Hopefully on a better path. And that's it.
Amen. Amen. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about relationships that we may know we're not supposed to be in, being attracted to the wrong type of male or female constantly. And then also we'll get in a little bit later to jump in and talk about sending pictures, nude pictures, revenge porn, how that can be used against you. But first, let's talk about relationships. So we've all been in a relationship before.
Indeed.
And there's a lot of times where we may feel as though we are attracted to the same type of man over and over again. So Joan, tell us a little bit about your story and dating in your 20s.
Well, I have many stories, but actually this story that I'm going to tell you about this relationship that I was actually in my 30s and very close to 40. So I should have known better, but he was a customer that came in, and I don't know my exact age, but I was definitely like in my late 30s, and I believe he may have been 14 years older than me. So when I met him, I did not know he was married. He never wore a ring, he never wore a ring throughout the course of our relationship. And so I met him, and after I found out he was married, the relationship continued. And I tried to end it. I would say if I met him in July, I tried to end it by December, but it did not quite end. We may have taken a little hiatus, but it didn't end for good. And so it goes on for maybe a year. And I vaguely remember that year. And I believe that was in 2012.
Okay, let's stop there for a second because I have questions about the initial relationship. So before you met him, what can you explain to us what state you were in mentally, or maybe in your singlehood? What was your thought process at that point?
Oh God. So I never dated to have a relationship. I kind of dated just to date and have fun. And I believe that the cause of that was just not knowing my worth, just low self-esteem, or I just never knew my worth, and maybe having low self-esteem and just being willing to, I would say, take anything, really. Oh, you want to take me out to eat? Sure, I'll go. Oh, you want to do X, Y, and Z? Fine, I'll do something just to fill my time or my space.
You have somebody around.
Right, exactly. It was nothing intentional. So that was the state of mind that I was in.
So that's interesting. So you had you had a relationship before that point?
I did, but never truly a monogamous relationship. So I had relationships that lasted maybe 4 years with a person, but throughout that 4 years, it was not monogamous. No.
Mm-hmm. Was it exclusive?
No.
Okay. So I was asking that question because I know just being in my 30s and hearing a lot of people talk about relationships or even dating right now, and they're like, girl, go on that date, go, get that lunch, or go get that dinner.
Yeah.
And I personally feel like I don't really like going out. Me and Sierra talked about this at the beginning of the year, like, no, what did we say? No 2020. What was it?
That we're basically not just going to go out for just to go out.
Exactly.
Yeah, we had a name for it, but I can't remember what it was.
Should have recorded it in an episode. And
yeah, it was like no wasting our time 2020 or something like that.
Yeah.
But I at the time had went on this date with this guy, didn't really like him, went on 2 dates. But I just hate wasting my time. And so I thought that was very interesting that you talked about like using these as time fillers. And I just kind of wonder, as you did that throughout your 20s and throughout your 30s a little bit, did it start to become easier? And did it start to become, maybe you just didn't really think about what you were doing, or what word am I looking for? Like almost easier, and each time you maybe did something more than you would have done the time before that, if that makes sense.
It was convenient. Go ahead.
Let me give you an example. So let's say,
I was like,
if you were in a relationship and or talking to a guy and he took you out to dinner, so that might have been like one relationship. It was just dinner with the guy. And then your next relationship, maybe you're like, oh, well, it's dinner. And then I also want him to take me on trips. So now this guy's dinner, taking me on trips, right? And then the next guy comes along and then he's paying for dinner. He's taking you on trips. Yeah. He's,
buying you a car. Okay, I get it now. I needed that example because I was like, so yeah. Joan, did that happen?
It did happen. Not quite a car, but it did happen in a form of a job. But anyway, I believe that I wasn't looking for it to, I'm not going to date him unless he can do one up on the next guy. It just happened to be that way, but it was territory that I knew how to navigate. So, it was familiar with me. I knew how to do it. I didn't know how to be monogamous. I didn't know how to trust. I didn't know how to put in the work. So I stayed in this box that I knew how to navigate, even at the end when I really didn't want to do it. Even when I no longer wanted to have sex, even when I no longer wanted to be around the person, like I could no longer bear, even spending time with the person, I did it because I was getting something out of it, even temporary pleasures. But yeah, when I look back on all the relationships that I've had throughout my 30s, really, they were definitely, with each guy, he was presenting something more than a previous one.
Yeah, and I didn't think you were doing it, when you mentioned it, I didn't think you were doing it intentionally. I thought it would maybe like something unconscious that you were doing. Right. And I had a conversation with some of my friends today. We were talking about just attracting the same type of guy over and over. And so I wonder if, let's say we're taking this, because I'm gonna go back a little bit. So in your 20s, it's easier to waste time, right? And just date around. But when you get to 30, if you haven't really dated, you're like, oh, it's my time to like date around now, right? But if you've dated, you're kind of like, oh, I need to settle down. I need to find this guy. But in reality, sometimes it just doesn't work like that. And I've talked to friends about them saying, I wanted to, have a different type of relationship, but I found myself like attracting the same guys over and over, whether it be a guy that had insecurity issues. So this guy is insecure, and so I don't like that. So I move on to the next, but I found he has an insecurity issue as well. And so I was having a conversation with my friends today, and I'm like, so at that point, do you look at yourself and say, that's something I need to change? Or are you still trying to look and find that different person?
At that time, go ahead, Sierra.
I would say absolutely it's something within you that's attracting them. But like you were going to say, at that time, you probably didn't equate it to that.
Not at all. I definitely was the common denominator. I had to change in order to change what I was attracting. Obviously, it was something in me that was attracting these type of guys. And I believe for me, I was attracting controlling men, older men. They were all older and they were all controlling. And to someone that struggles with, and I'm not saying I was walking around like just low self-esteem and it looked that way on the outside. On the outside, a person may not be able to or could tell that I struggled with that because I didn't carry myself that way, to someone that's just looking at me. But if they knew my intimate behavior, the signs were there. So I definitely attracted men that were older and that were more self-sufficient and like financially stable and things like that. And I believe because they knew some things about me, intimate things about me, they felt like they could manipulate me. And they did. They did. I do believe that we teach people how to treat us. And when we settle for things initially, they don't have a reason to change if we don't leave or if we don't change the situation. So they just want to continue that behavior. And that's what happened. And because these relationships, they lasted for years. They wasn't just like, one night stand and things like that. They happened for years. They didn't have a reason to change. So I'm the one that's kind of changing throughout the relationship. And I know with the last guy, he's like, so I supposed to feel some kind of way, or I'm supposed to change because now you're uncomfortable with a situation that you knew about early on. So it was a lot of mental games in every last relationship that I was in with these guys.
Do you think, or can you identify with any characteristics that they had?
Besides being controlling, really? Like, all of them was controlling.
No, I mean like within
what?
yourself.
Oh, within characteristics within myself?
Within yourself that you might have identified in those guys.
Because I think what it usually is, it's not that you identify with their negative characteristics, but it's something about those characteristics which draws you. It's not like they're controlling, because you're controlling. It's you may feel as though your dad wasn't around and you want the father figure around, and that's what they appear to be. Right. Exactly. So I think, and is that what you're asking it in that way? Like, is there something about?
I was trying to ask to see if there was a difference, because I know that some people say that they attract guys because, they have like something in them that's the same. Like, okay, I'll give you the insecurity issue. Like someone might be insecure, so they might draw in someone that's insecure, or it might be the complete opposite. Like I like someone who is in control because I feel like I'm not in control, or I want someone to take care of me because I don't want to ever be broke again. Mm-hmm. So I was just trying to see which level, you identify with.
No, looking at those men, I cannot identify a characteristic between myself and them. I haven't given it any previous thought, but just thinking right now, no. But like Sierra said, then yes, I've seen something in them that I felt like I was lacking, that they could potentially provide for me. So yeah.
Makes sense.
So going back to the part about you saying that the gentlemen were married and never wore rings, but you knew kind of early on. That's one thing that bothers me now. There's a lot of men out here in these streets that are married, will not wear rings. They work with you. They go to the gym. Like, I know you're married because I know your life, but you're not wearing anything. So how am I supposed to know? And then there's always the excuse of it's just jewelry or whatever. That can be a whole nother podcast episode of what the ring means, because it's hard out here for a single woman who's sometimes you have to look down at the hand to see, hey, oh, he's off limits, on to the next. Like, I can't have this conversation. But if they're not wearing it, it can be something that can completely throw you off. So when they first came up to you, did they say, hi, my name is XYZ? The next day, oh, and I'm married? Or how did that conversation happen? Did you ask? Did they just let it go and tell you?
I honestly don't remember because that was such a long time ago, but it was not immediate. I remember having a conversation with him, and he just said that his family was at a hotel because, it was a hurricane going on. They didn't have any electricity. And he just said his family was there. So I didn't think much more about who his family was. I just was like, okay. But yeah, it was, I don't know how long, but it was some time. It was not immediate, and immediate could be a week or 2 or 3 or a month, but it was not, in the first few conversations that we had that he disclosed that he was married.
So, I mean, at least he did come. You didn't have,
at least, yeah.
They'll use those words like my family, but that can mean so much.
Children, so. Exactly. His mom.
That's what unless he says my wife and kids, like family, I'm gonna immediately think it's just your kids, because if you were married, you would have kind of told me that in the beginning, right? Day one.
I would think.
But see, that just tells me now I got to. We talked about this on a couple episodes, like investigate a little bit and say, okay,
it's a shame.
Or ask a couple of more.
You have to ask more questions, like, so family, what does that mean? Or if they say they're single as in you're, are you talking to multiple people? Does that mean just you're not married, but you're engaged? Like, what does single mean? Because you really never know. You can't just ask that one question, because guys will find a way, and women too, I'm sure they will find a way to make the answer fit what they're trying to get and what they're looking for.
Exactly.
So we're going to continue on with this relationship. So we met this guy, and you guys have been talking, dating for a year or so. And then he brings up this great opportunity for you to come and work, get you a nice job. And so when you tell me that, to me, that kind of sounds like, okay, I'm going to make sure she's right here. I can see everything she's doing. I can see if anyone's talking to her. At least 8 hours a day, she's right in my face. And when she's off of work, guess what? She's on my phone. Like, so it's almost as though it's kind of like, what is the word? Ebony, you know the word. You be reading books. Come on now. But what's the word? Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate, but I also can see your side, Joan, to be like, oh, you're gonna get me a job at this, making the X amount of salary. And
it was a great thing for her. Like for her, it's a good. But what I'm saying, the reason why he did it, I don't think it was really to just help her. I think it was to keep tabs on her.
I think you're right.
But that's not the word I'm thinking from. Tabs is not the word, but
it's definitely a control issue. So like he can literally, your whole world is his.
It's evolved. Right? It's his. He has you during the workday, and
you're the earth. Yeah. He's the sun.
Yeah. So
or vice versa, whatever I'm trying to say.
We got you. All right. So he's got you this job. You're working directly under him, correct?
Literally.
Directly under him. And so how was that with the whole dating situation? Because I've never dated anybody that I worked with, but to be directly under him and all the other things that were happening in the relationship, how was that time period?
It was
and how long did it last?
Oh my gosh. So I started in January 14 and I worked under him until June 16. So for a little over 2.5 years. It was terrible. I wish that I could have found the email, but like when things went sour between us, I deleted a lot of correspondence between us. But I remember when I was given the job offer, he was telling me like, don't accept it yet. Like he was going to try to negotiate, but we were on such bad terms that it was just terrible. And so I did not want to take the job. Like I wanted to take the job because who doesn't want an opportunity? But I knew I was not supposed to take that job. I knew it. But I was miserable where I was. So I went to work with him and it was good when it was good. So when we were cool, it was fine. But if he got on my nerves, I had no way to escape. And because where I used to work previously was like literally right around the corner from where I started working for him, I knew a lot of people in that building. And so I would have different people that I knew prior come to my office and he would be hot. He would be hot. Like, this is work. Don't have people come up there. I work for a place where people just, they come in and they chit chat or whatever. But he was furious, like, because some of the people all of the people that would come up there would be men. So he just would not have it. He would not have it. And I remember him like giving me the blues. A security guard like gave me a candle bear. I've never seen that thing before in my life. But anyway, he gave it to me and I was like, I felt uncomfortable accepting it or whatever. So I told him about it. He was pissed. But I was telling him that he gave it to me, like, what should I do? He was like, you should have never accepted it. And you go down there and you return it to him. And it was just terrible. But anyway, I did return it.
As far as he was concerned, you were his wife. And so he's like, absolutely not. But you skipped over something. Let's back it up.
Back it up.
He negotiated your salary?
He was trying to get me to deny the offer so he could increase it. That's what he was trying to do. So okay. Yes. But yeah, I wasn't talking to him then. I just was like, all right, I'm gonna just accept this or whatever. But he was trying to technically help me out. But anyway, so throughout the years, it was, again, like I said, it was good until it was bad. If we were going through anything personal, it was no way of escape. And that's when the nastiness came up, because he was already arrogant. Oh, he was a narcissist for real. Like, he was arrogant. The people around us didn't know, obviously, that we were in a relationship. So they used to talk bad about him and just talk about just how nasty he was. And like, he's just a nasty black man. He walks around here like with his behind on his shoulders. And like, he just is that type of guy. So I got it. Like, if an email, like if an I was not dotted, he would give me the blues. Like, it would be a storm that day in the office. But yeah, I remember fighting with him twice in the office. Cause like sometimes you have like these lovers quarrels or whatever. Mm-hmm. I remember getting physical in that office with him.
In the office
with him. And I remember making up, how you make up and a guy comes to your house and they do things like that. I remember him like, I came into my office one day and it was like the whole office was like evident of him coming in, like his little love notes all around. It was just a up and down roller coaster relationship.
It sounds like it would be very, very emotionally draining.
And stressful.
It was emotional. Oh my gosh. And then like
every day you walk in.
It was
you don't know which one you're gonna get.
On top of workplace stress, you're already stressed enough,
because you're at work.
Right.
He thought he was in a monogamous relationship. Like, he said it I sent Sierra a screenshot of an email, but even prior to that, he would say it all the time, like, we're in a monogamous relationship. And I'm like, well, how is that possible? Because, you're married. Like, so we're not in a I never accepted that. And that used to piss him off. But I'm like, this guy's freaking crazy.
I have a question. You can tell me to mind my business, right?
Go ahead.
Have you ever
real personal?
Did you meet his wife before?
Never.
I was wondering, like, maybe she came up to the job or,
I believe that this behavior is not new. It was not a new behavior. I believe that she knew exactly what she was involved with. I remember him telling me a story of his previous employers and how he had a sexual assault allegation on one of his jobs. He used to work for like a car manufacturer. And they went out like on a trip somewhere. Without telling you the whole story, like they went away on a business trip somewhere, and someone basically said that he was doing some things inappropriately, and he got fired from that job. So I just believe that this was just a character. That's his character. So,
that was his normal, constant behavior.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did he ever tell you that he was ever going to end his marriage, or he was just like, we're going to be monogamous with each other, but I'm going to keep her?
Nope. He said that he was going to end it. I'm not sure if he alluded to it in that email, but he definitely said that it was over. Like, after his son graduates, that's when they want to get it, because his son was his youngest child. So of course, most married people always want, they wait until the youngest child is out the house, and then they can get a divorce and all that stuff like that. So that was what he initially told me. His son was, I believe, in his second year of college when things ended between us.
Oh, of college? He already out the house.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So it was like, here, we'll give we got 2 more years of me being married, and then did it, so your relationship ended before he got to the point where his son was out of college?
Correct.
Okay, because I was gonna say, what did it become one of those goal finish lines that kept getting pushed further out? But if it ended before that was over, then he didn't have the ability to do that.
It sounded like Joan didn't even want, like, no, stay married. I'm just out here having fun.
At one point
until it wasn't fun anymore.
Exactly. It definitely, at the end, it just wasn't fun. But I know at one point in time, I don't know how one gets so emotionally to the point where, I'm crying about things like involving him. I don't know what the emotional connection was, but I used to find myself often, and maybe it was just a frustration, the fact that I felt restricted in that relationship. I felt like I didn't have a way out, in a sense, like, how could I be chained or tied to a married man and he has a freedom to go home and do whatever, and I am stuck? Like, that's amazing how a person can be stuck, but they have freedom to leave. But I felt stuck. I felt like I really couldn't.
It was the manipulation and all of that he's put you throughout the year. He set you up so that you were not going to go anywhere, and that you were going to feel that way if you were to leave, it sounds like to me.
The signs were there, and I loved what you and Sierra did earlier this year, how you both made it a conscious thing not to do something. We're not going to carry that behavior over. And dating married men, I was never proud of it. So I could never share that information. I could never talk about my relationships with any of my girlfriends, especially girlfriends that have morals and ethics, or ones that are married. I could never share that. So I was really isolated. So I was walking with the enemy. Definitely.
So on this podcast, we've talked about like learning and unlearning behaviors. And so that's why I kind of brought up earlier, like, what do you think, like, what some characteristics that you might have identified with or may not have identified with? I don't know if you listened to the particular episode, but I was talking about, I went to see my therapist, and we talked about, everybody recognizes, most of us recognize red flags, whether we choose to heed to them or not, we recognize red flags. But she was like, well, what about those green flags? So what are green flags? And so I'm talking about it in my next therapy session, but I was talking to some friends about it today. And so we identified a few, like someone that's consistent, someone that's honest, someone is, I don't know, caring. So kind of recognizing those green flags as well as the red ones. And I know we're not to that part of the episode yet, but just thinking of ways that someone can prevent themselves from being in a similar situation.
Yeah, I know for me, what I know for me is just, I had low self-esteem. I did not know my worth. Like, really, when you are living your life and you don't know your purpose and you don't know your worth, and when your worth is tied to external things, you're off balance. Like, you're not centered. And I was going to church, but I was not in a love relationship with the Lord. Like, I did not know who I was, and that has been the biggest transition for me since leaving or ending that relationship. Was really, instead of entering into another relationship with a man, because I recognized then that I was the common denominator. But that was 4 years after, and I was fully grown. I was a grown woman when I recognized that I needed to change something, so I would not continue to get the same results.
And that's something I also kind of want to talk about. So I talked to friends, and we were like, at what point do you start recognizing it's you and not really the other people? And then it's kind of hard to identify with, and it's probably a hard pill to swallow, like, oh no, it is me, right? And so I guess, what suggestions would you have for people to kind of look within themselves to maybe identify certain patterns that they have?
Sierra kind of touched on it on your last podcast. Being single, I think, is very important. I think it's such a valuable season. It just is so valuable, so much to learn and unlearn in your season of singleness. A benefit of being single is, of course, getting closer to God. Hopefully, prayerfully, that is the path that people are on, because the world will tell you to do it another way, which is not beneficial in the long run. So I think for me, it was getting into a closer relationship to God, and changing my circles, changing. And I've never been like a overly social person, so I didn't have to change that too much. But I had to end all relationships with all men, because obviously I had an issue with how I perceived men, because maybe I saw men as a way of what they could provide to me, because I obviously felt like I was not enough, that I needed that external thing to add to me, to make me better in a sense, even though none of them ever did. So I would definitely say, get to know the Lord and take time in this season of singleness. And sometimes the season is not short. I've been single for 2 years.
Oh, don't worry. It is definitely sometimes not short. And I was thinking today, I was like, how many, and I talked to Sierra about this, like, I'm so thankful to be single at this point, because I was thinking, like, if I wasn't single, Sierra and I probably wouldn't have started this podcast, right? I probably would be over here, trying to live my best life married, but also not spending time pouring it into others as we are doing with this podcast, and just doing something that I enjoy. And so, granted, I can do this married, but I probably wouldn't have started it if I was married.
Exactly. And it's so valuable. I love the content on this. I was getting ready to say this channel, but this platform. I love the content because it really is, it's funny, but it helps us. It helps people grow of all ages. I know I'm not the only 42-year-old lady out here that's just getting it together. I know I'm not the only one, but it's a lot of younger people that don't have to go down certain paths if they just, are open to what information is being shared on this platform, as well as other healthy content. But keep doing what you're doing. I thank God for it.
Oh, thank you, Joan. So, I think we've kind of talked a lot about the relationship portion of it. So now we want to dive into something that's a little more intimate, and that would be dealing with, I don't know the right way to just put it, so we'll just go out and say taking pictures, sending pictures, sexting. So I'm sure you weren't able to always be around this gentleman because he had to go home every now and then, to his family. So you guys spent some time maybe sexting back and forth, pictures, videos, maybe capturing videos when you're one-on-one, so that there's memories. I know that stuff nowadays is starting as early as junior high, because these kids are learning their bodies, and now they have cell phones. Who would have thunk that you're in junior high and elementary school, first grade, you walk around with a cell phone, but none of us were part of that lifestyle.
No.
I didn't get mine until college, high school. But with the sexting comes the possibility that those pictures or videos or whatever could be used against you later on, or could be accidentally leaked, could be stolen, whatever. Can you tell us a little bit of what happened in your case, and then I can give a personal experience?
Sure. So, the saved Joan.
Yes.
Once upon a time, honey, Joan was sexy up in her day, girl. I used to be sexy, and I used to be proud of every bit of curve or lack thereof that I had. So I was always in front of somebody's mirror, like always, or always just very comfortable doing certain things. And so, yeah, I sent some things I should not have sent, and I also allowed pictures to be taken, video, all that stuff to be taken, without ever thinking that they would be used against me.
Because that was someone that you were in a relationship with.
Exactly. And they didn't have the character. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have the character, but they showed me enough about the bad character that they had, that they possessed. I don't know why it was limits to that, but yeah. So
were you in love? Do you think you were in love?
I was in lust. I was
Could it I'm thinking that maybe the character part, like you saw the negative parts in him, but you're like, he's not gonna do that because I love that man. He'd never do that.
I said I loved him. I definitely used to tell him I love him.
You told him, but did you mean it?
You know what? My skewed perception of love, yes, I loved him. Knowing now,
okay.
No, I didn't love him. I cared for him though. I did care for him because I cried like a baby at the end. Like when we broke up and when things dissolved, how they dissolved, I really was crying thinking about how this situation would affect him personally. So yeah, I definitely cared for him because I always had a good heart. Like I always cared for people. You would think, but yet I was out here sleeping with people's husbands, but it was weird. I was always a nice person, but I did not have the best character. I did not have the best character.
We didn't touch on this, but were any of the guys that you were talking to getting a divorce or going through a divorce, and you were they were just strictly just married and
they all said they were. They all, like every last one that was married, said that they were getting divorced. One of the guys, we're not going to talk about him too much, but what's crazy is his wife was also cheating, and they had like a big scandal. And I'm sitting here with this smile on my face, and it's not funny because marriage is it's a covenant union, so it's supposed to be honored. But his wife was actually in a big scandal in a whole nother state with the mayor of that state. And it was like her name was in the papers and everything. And during that same time that she was out there cheating with that mayor, I'm over here, doing whatever it is with him. He out of everyone, he's the only one that wound up getting a divorce. Yeah. And this is when I say everyone, it was like.
And he over here doing the same thing. And that was just
in that case, he probably
it hit him hard that she was doing the same thing. So that
she
could
did
help
it.
Character too. She probably did it as a get back. I'm getting back.
Yeah, that sounds like a get back. Yeah. You gonna do you, I'm gonna do me. Yeah. Whoever files it first, but we just gonna do us.
Ooh, I'm sorry. Thank God for deliverance.
Thank God for deliverance.
Because I do want to get married one day. I mean, I do, and karma is real.
That keep me from doing 99.999% of the stuff that
I won't even kill a worm. I'm like, nope. I'm gonna put you right in the grass. Get off the sidewalk. I don't want you to dry up. Like I need you to live. No, I do that for real though. Pick up worms off the sidewalk.
First of all, that's
not worms though.
Look. Okay, I know this is completely off topic, but when they're on the sidewalk, I feel like the sun will dry them up. They're not supposed to be on the sidewalk. So I will move them from the sidewalk to the grass so that they can go. I'm like, go dig yourself in the dirt.
That's your blessing.
God told
you to do that.
It's a what thing?
It's not a karma. It's definitely not karma.
It's not. I don't know where you found that.
Because I feel like if I saw them die, if I didn't help them and they died, I came back out and they're dead. That was my fault.
How would you know it was the same worm?
Because they can't move fast.
Good question. I can't believe that God allowed you to see it. And that he gave you that conviction, like he put that on you for
That's
you.
That's awesome, because he didn't give me that type of conviction.
He knows who to give what
A spider
to.
will come and come up right here, and I'm killing it. First of all, you and me we don't belong in the same house.
I'm getting whatever spray I can get.
Right.
Getting it.
Y'all right. Okay. That's true.
But everybody, that's another good point. Everybody's conviction is different. Something that convicts me might not convict you. We got our own personal relationship with Jesus.
He does. Exactly. I think God is just constantly, building our character. And that's just something, if he brought that to you, I think that's something that you have to do. But that's not everyone. Like God tells you, like, if I walk somewhere, if it's like a piece of clothing that fell off the rack, even before I was there, I have to pick it up. If
put it back on the
like
thing,
a paper towel on the floor in the bathroom, in the public bathroom, I have to pick it up.
Yes.
Because that's my conviction. And I don't know. But,
I'm the same way, Joan. I might not always pick it up and put it on the hanger, though. Like the clothes. I put it on the rack. Like I'll lay it across. Because I'm like, y'all see it on the floor. Someone got to pick it up.
I used to work in retail. And
Me too. That's my first job.
I was really bad when I first started working in retail. Everything had to be up. I had to fold clothes. I'm like, I'm working in there again. Yeah. But now I'm a little lax. I'm like, you can fold that. I don't get paid to fold anything in the store. So
do you still pick them up though if it's on the floor?
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna walk past it.
Exactly. See, God is building our character. I used to do what I used to do, but now I'm picking up clothes off the floor for people. See?
And worms off the sidewalk.
Not I, though.
And not I.
All right, so let's get back focused.
What we were talking about, but that does talk about, character building. I like how you put that. So the reason why I wanted to bring up this whole episode and the relationships and the manipulation in relationships that lead to us doing things that we probably, I wouldn't even say that we don't think it's bad, because we don't think that taking a picture with your boyfriend or sending a picture to your boyfriend is a bad thing while you're doing it, until the relationship's over and it's being hung over your head. So
wait a minute. Ebony does. Like, I've been asked to, like, for people, send me a picture. Like, send me a picture of your breast. Send me a picture of this. And I'm like, absolutely not. You will not have me on anybody's internet.
We're talking about we're still talking about back in the day. We're talking about, like.
That wasn't her thing.
No, that's all. Yeah. That's literally always been me. That you can send me a picture. Thank you.
That's just as bad, though.
I'm not going to use a pic. Oh, actually, this one guy did send me a picture. And I said I wasn't going to ever show anybody, but I had to show a couple of people.
Oh, girl.
It wasn't that good for me to be. I was like, oh my God. It was just, I don't know if it was the angle, like the shadows. I was just like, y'all got to see this, because I'm not the only crazy person. Tell me what you think.
He done set himself up.
I wish I still had the picture. I don't even have it anymore.
I'm glad you don't have it. Thank you, Lord.
And hopefully he doesn't know who he is, and he probably doesn't listen to this podcast, so we're good.
Oh, hilarious. Guys out here sending pics thinking they looking good, thinking they doing something.
Right, and I think he sent me a picture because he was like, I don't know why he felt like, and he sent me a picture of his penis, so I don't know if he thought like, oh, if I send her a picture, she'll send me a picture. Wrong, because I already told you before you sent it.
I do think they think that. They think, oh, let me just shoot this off real quick and she'll send something back.
That one.
Well, for me, back in college, not in high school, because it wasn't a thing in high school years, I don't think. But back in college, I had a boyfriend, and we didn't live in the same city or same state, matter of fact. So yeah, if he said, send me a picture, I'd be like, okay. He would send me way more pictures than I sent. I was like, dang, like these are coming in like, today again? I didn't even ask for this. But with him, I would have never thought that he would ever leak anything, which he never did. Matter of fact, a year or 2 years ago, he actually gave me the thumb drive where they were on, and he still had them. I'm like, dude, this is from 2007, 2008, 2006. You still have these? But I was like, he's like, do you want me to destroy them? I'm like, no, give it to me. Because I felt like me having it in my hand, man, I knew it was destroyed, but they could have still been on his computer. I don't know.
But what's the extent of pictures? Because I'll say I've taken a picture. Oh, if my daddy listened, I've taken a picture with just like my bra and maybe some shorts or maybe underwear for myself, and I have it for myself, but I didn't like give it to anybody.
No, we're not talking about stuff you take for yourself. We're talking about like
specifically pictures that you're sexting involves sending it to someone via a text message.
Got it.
So we were sending pictures to each other. And even in college, there was a video, and he kept his video stuff, a lot of stuff on his PlayStation. I guess you can record on PlayStation. I don't know.
I think so.
But his house got broken into and everything got stolen.
I would have cried.
Everything, like TV, PlayStation, everything. And that's the only thing I thought about. I was like, oh my gosh, like there's videos, there's pictures on your PlayStation. After that, I was like, nope, nobody gets a picture. I was like, what if I want to go to, the White House one day? And this was in college. I'm like, nope, it's done. Because that was the realization of everything for me. And it wasn't that I ever thought, and I know he would have never, like, he would never want anybody to see. Like, he's one of those, he's not sharing. Even if when we ended things, it wasn't good, he wasn't going to go out, and that's just not him. But to know that somebody does have it, they probably deleted it like, I don't care. I don't think faces were on there. I don't even remember. But it was that feeling, it was a naked feeling, like you're naked all over again, because anybody can be looking at those pictures or those videos. So when, Joan, as you have said, something similar happened to you, or the threat of it happening to you. So can you tell us like your feelings of it and exactly what happened?
Well, towards the end of the relationship, it really got bad. So I tried to end things, and he was not having it because he was truly controlling. And he honestly believed as long as I benefited, received a paycheck, as long as I worked for the organization that we worked for, that he was going to be my sexual lover. And so when I did not give into that, he created like these fictitious, I looked them up the other day, and one of them said like dirty freak Joan, and the other one said this filthy tramp thinks she has a lot, like something like that. These was the line, the email addresses that he used with my name in it. And I'm like, this guy.
Wait a minute. So he took time out of his day to literally go and create email addresses?
Because he was blocked. Because he was blocked. Yeah, so he had to create a way to contact me, and that's how it was. And so even like the other day when I looked on, like looking through my email, I saw that one of the email addresses now have my picture, whereas though 3 years ago, it did not have my picture. So I'm like, when did he add that picture, like, to that email account? But anyway, so now it got my mind to thinking, like, what did he do with these pictures that he had? Like, why, like, what is it that he's doing with these pictures? Anyway, so my mind kind of got
I don't know if I said your name during this podcast, but you're now going to be called Melinda, and then we're going to put that under your...
She introduced herself. She good. But yeah,
you're hilarious.
I mean, he had to do what he had to do
to get to you, but he could have came with a little bit nicer. Like he could have, or just put like Joan 1 2 3 4, Joan 5 6 7 8.
Tramp. Dirty. I was like, dirty.
You know what? See, that's really when you got to get petty. You got to get petty, and now you got to create a couple. Oh, okay.
I didn't create none, but I didn't create it. But I knew his wife's email address, and I was like, I'm going to email her. I'm going to do it. But by that time, I already gave my life to the Lord. I already started my love relationship with the Lord.
Thank God for Jesus.
I did, girl. Yes. Lord, but in the email, one of the emails that he sent me, it had like these pictures that we took, like, and sometimes when we take our own pictures, they're more seductive. They're like, they're different, but guys, like, just sprawled out, legs just like sprawled out, like just in there. It was just terrible. And I'm like, I would never, like, why would he release that? Why would he show that one? I mean, another one, we were like in the park, and I was, we were in an act, or I was in the act or whatever. And I'm just like, out of all these daggone pictures, this guy done did this. So basically now, what are you saying? Like, why are you sending me pictures of us? What are you saying? So are you trying to intimidate me? Are you trying to tell me that you're going to do what? Like, are you letting me know that I have these pictures of you and I'm going to, do X, Y, and Z? I know that he used to do one of these sites that wasn't Backpage. It was like one of these picture sites that he used to be on all the time. And I promise you, my mind. Wait, let me think about it.
Was it picture? It was just pictures?
Yes, it was. Oh my goodness.
We're gonna go with that. I mean, that's what it was.
It was oh my goodness.
It was oh my goodness.
.com.
Go there and just used to like look at like women and stuff like that. And so I just was like, this guy is going to post my pictures there. And then, we worked for the same organization, even though at that time I stopped working for him. But anyway, with these pictures, at the end of the relationship, I had to file a restraining order. And because I filed a restraining order, I went to our HR and to let them know that I filed a restraining order. So if anything was to pop off or cross on the business property, I need them aware of what's going on. What's crazy is the lady that ran HR is actually my sister's sister-in-law. And so it was really personal, because now I had to let people know a different side of me, because I carry myself in a way that's very private. I'm very private. And the only reason I feel comfortable talking about this now is because I know that I've been forgiven. I know that I'm no longer the same person. So I feel comfortable talking about this now. But so I had to let her know, what was going on. But it didn't end there, because then she wanted to see all the emails that he sent me. She wanted to see everything, because when I initially sent her the email, I blacked out, my body parts. The attorney, before we went to court, was like, I need you to print these emails without editing the emails and just seal it up. We won't look at it. I said, okay, I can do that. He said, but the judge will look at it. Do you know that day in court, everybody looked at it? The attorney, the HR lady, the judge, everybody.
I would have made them sign a consent form.
So actually,
I was like, what? You know how many times I had to see these people, because I didn't lose my job. I still work there. And so
did he lose his job?
He did lose his job. And so I'm working around these people, and they see me naked, not just naked in a seductive, sexy way, naked in a derogatory manner. It was terrible. It was just,
this
I'm
might
not
be
even saying that I wanted them to see me sexually, in a seductive way, but it was just embarrassing.
This might be a little too much, but no one ever tried, anyone that saw your pictures never tried anything, right?
No.
Okay.
Because that would have been, I think God just orchestrated things perfectly, because like right when I filed the sexual harassment claim, because that's what it wound up being at work, the attorney, we had a Black attorney, and he just left, and I would have felt so terrible had he been the one that represented me when we went to court. I just, the relationship that he and I had which was not really a relationship, but we've known each other. We see each other, we hide and all of that stuff like that. And we've had like a few brief conversations, and I just would have felt so terrible had he been the one to see those pictures. But like, it was a new white older gentleman that came on that represented me in court. I didn't want him to see it either, but they saw
I
it.
couldn't imagine like having to, look in their face when they're looking at your pictures.
Or even
after.
Yeah, just knowing that they
That's
see
true.
everything.
Like, eyes down, shifted. It was terrible. And even like coming back into the office, I remember when he got fired, and people were, you know why he got fired? What's going on? Oh, we saw you talking to HR. Why was you talking to HR? First of all, my manager asked me that at the time. She was not supposed to ask me that, but she asked me that. So I knew that people knew, but no one ever said anything to me except for one person. It's the girl that, we got hired together. And the first thing she said when she came in the office, she said, well, how long have you been fucking him? And I said, what? Like, where did that even come from? Because then that pissed me off even more. I stopped talking to her.
Well, here's the thing. Like, why are you at work? Like, we're work people, right? Exactly. It's a difference. Like, sometimes you are like real good friends with people outside of work, but 9 times
we're not.
Right. 9 times out of 10, we're not. If you think we are, just think we're not.
Exactly. Right? And you gonna come up to me and say something like that? That made me so pissed, because I hate when we can't control what people say. I hate when I am the topic of conversation, though. Like, I hate it because I'm not there to defend myself, and I just mind my business, and I don't want to be your topic, period. And so I was so upset with that. And so just to come to work every day and just see these people, and even if they didn't know something, me feeling like they knew something was just so hard. It was just, that year, the end of, because it started like in July. So I would say like from July until like January, it was just because we wound up going to court in December, and he lost his job in December. So, yep.
And I know we're not towards the end though, but I want to tell you, one, A, I'm sorry that happened to you. B, thank you for telling your story, because I know this is hard. Like you said, you still work there, so I'm pretty sure it's not an easy thing for you to do. And I want to also highlight redemption and how, regardless of our past, regardless of things we've done, we're still redeemed.
Amen.
We're still set free. Amen. We still have a second chance, a new slate.
That's for real.
So
I believe I had to do that. I believe that it was a way, because sometimes, like Sierra knows, this guy named me like Miss Blocks a lot. I have no issue with blocking people at all. And that's just my way of not having to deal, not having to confront, not having to have uncomfortable conversation. But I believe that I had to go through this to end certain cycles. I believe that even though I was wrong, and like you just said, like, I'm sorry you had to go through that. It was very hard for me to accept people saying that to me, because I felt like I knew. I'm a grown woman. Like, I knew exactly what I was getting into, having a relationship with a married man. And so it was very hard for me to see just his wrong. Not saying that I wasn't wrong, but it was just hard for me to accept any type of anyone consoling me during that period.
Because you kind of felt like you kind of brought it on
to yourself because you allowed it to happen. I will say that I read that 1 in 25 Americans are threatened or victims of revenge porn, or, you know, releasing pictures that they never said were okay to be released. So it happens a lot, like 1 in 25.
That's a lot. Exactly.
That's a lot. Like 25 people, that's not even
your girlfriends. Somebody in there.
Somebody there has been threatened with it. And I also read that women under the age of 30, people of color, and members of the LGBTQ community are more likely than men, just regular men, to also have that happen to them.
Wow.
Why women under 30? Why people of color? We would definitely need to, I would want to do some more research on that, but that information I found on the Cyber Civil Rights Initiative website. But the one thing that I also want to talk about before we give the full definition of what revenge porn is that each state, you have to look at their laws to see. Each state is different. Maryland didn't even have a law for it until October 1st of 2014. So before that, it was not a law. Then at that time, it made it illegal for someone to post any type of sexually suggestive or naked pictures or videos of someone on the internet with the intent of causing that person emotional distress and without the other person's consent. Again, this is October 1st, 2014.
And so how long has the internet been prevalent, highly?
I want to say forever, because most of my life, but for some people, the internet wasn't around when they were children. So yeah, so you really would have to go and look and see what your state has and what the penalties would be for it. So if someone was actually convicted, which it's hard to convict on this, mainly because one, the victim doesn't want to come forward because they feel as though it's something that they did and brought upon themselves. They're afraid to come forward and report it. The perpetrator may argue the law violates his or her First Amendment right. The law does not allow the victim to remove the material from the internet. So one of the things that they say is you should document as much as you can, screenshot, take pictures, collect all the emails, but it doesn't allow you to take it off the internet. And it's easy when a picture's out there for it to constantly be reposted.
Exactly.
And so you never know who was the first person to release it, which makes it very hard to pin it to the individual. Also, it's very challenging to prove the emotional distress part of it, because that's been part of the law, which I'll read. The perpetrator can argue that he or she did not post it to cause emotional distress. So all of these things are pushed back against the victim, which makes them think like, I got to go through all these hurdles. I've got to go sit in this courtroom and have them look at all my pictures. Yes. And if you look at the law, it does tell you who are the specific people who can look at the pictures. It's at the very bottom of the bill. And I saw that, and I'll have to go back and pull it up.
The one in Maryland?
The Maryland bill.
The one you looked at? Wow.
It's not the one I sent you, but I looked at the bill 43, I believe it is. But I'll try to pull up again. But it has at the very bottom all the different people. And I was like, that is kind of a list. But when they said, oh, yes,
it's extensive. It's an extensive list.
But it was everybody who would be involved in the proceeding if it went to court. So it made sense. But it wasn't just the lawyer and the judge.
Oh, okay.
But then it says, so if anyone is convicted of distributing this type of revenge porn, they may be imprisoned for up to 2 years and or fined up to $5,000, and it is considered a misdemeanor crime.
But again, why people would be like, just forget it. It's just
after all of that, 2 years,
you have to jump through
$5,000.
Yeah.
It's not really worth it. So for me, it's like, I'm not taking pictures. I rather just, there's not going to be any record. Don't try to send a Snapchat thinking they're going to delete it. I don't have Snapchat. or I mean that it gets deleted. I don't have it, but I heard you can still screenshot Snapchat.
Of course.
You can.
So even if it disappears, you're not protecting yourself. And I'm sure there needs, I don't know if there's any apps where you can send something and it deletes out their phone. I don't know. But just to be on the safe side,
Don't do it.
don't even do it, because you just never know. People are going to be great when the relationship's great, but once it goes sour, it can go
Yes. I remember like when I was filing the sexual harassment claim at work, and the HR lady was like, well, how old are you? And she was like, how old are you? And I told her, she was like, oh my God, I can see if you were like in your early 30s, but you should know better. And I was like,
wow.
Okay.
And who is this?
All right. This is my sister-in-law. But anyway, she's like, I experienced X, Y, and Z, but I was in my early 30s. Okay, just because you was in your early 30s and I was in my late doesn't mean maybe I'm a slow learner.
It's one and the same. And also keep your comments and your concerns to yourself. You are supposed to be professional in a professional environment.
I hate that when they cross. Like, I don't care how close you think we are, or sister you think we are. It's still my very serious professional situation. Like let's keep it there, please.
And then that comment alone could have caused you to say, okay, you know what,
never mind. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So again, it pushes it back on the victim. Like, regardless of what you did, no one ever has the right,
unless you say, please post, they don't have the right to share anything.
Share it, not at all.
So according to the 2014 Maryland Code of Criminal Law, Title 3, Revenge Porn, Stalking, and Harassment, a person may not intentionally cause serious emotional distress to another by intentionally placing on the internet a photograph, film, videotape, recording, or any other reproduction of an image of the other person that reveals the identity of the other person with his or her intimate parts exposed, or while engaged in an act of sexual contact. They cannot knowingly do this to the other person, knowingly that the other person did not consent to the placement of the image on the internet, and under circumstances in which the other person has a responsible expectation that the image would be kept private. Okay. And that's what happens in most cases, is that you do not consent to it, and two, there's an expectation that it will always be a private picture between you and the other person. So if doing any of that basically is now against the law, and it falls under the Maryland Criminal Law Title 3-809, Stalking, Harassment, and Revenge Porn. It also goes more into, it gives you the details of what the intimate parts are, which are the naked genitals, public area, buttocks, or the female nipple, and then what sexual contact means. It happens a lot, like we said, but if it happens to you, I know, Ebony, you got some pointers that people can go to help them.
Yeah, and I just want to say, just so we're clear, even if someone is using photos that you did not give them, like, or give them consent to take, or video, that is still revenge porn, just so we're clear. But so what should I do if I'm a victim of revenge porn? So one of the things it says is you can act quickly, and I know this is even more embarrassing than having someone like release photos of you, but it says take a screenshot of what that person has done, if it's on a website, if it's on social media, and make sure you capture the person's information. So like if you see their name, maybe their phone number, any information where you can identify their username, that will be helpful. Contact the website's host to ask them to remove the content. Even though it may not work, but it may help your case to prove that you asked for it to come down, and document any contact you had with the person prior to them posting it online. So that may help you for your claim of emotional distress. Mm-hmm. And then also contact your local commissioner or state's attorney office to press charges. And then also, guys, keep in mind when we're electing officials and electing people to the Senate, just keep in mind that we're electing them to make these bills and pass these changes. And so we want to be very diligent and do our due diligent research to make sure that these things that we care about are passed as well.
Exactly.
I know Kamala Harris, she was trying to push the Enough Act. I don't really know much more about it because I didn't do research on it, but I do know that it's not passed, but she was pushing it, and it would support basically this type of behavior, like this revenge porn. So y'all can look that up. It's Kamala Harris, and it was the Enough Act. Enough Act. Yeah.
Great. Okay. I do also, just one more thing, just want to be clear, because you mentioned this a couple of times in the episode. It doesn't matter if you're 18, if you're in your 20s, if you're in your 30s, if you're in your 40s, if you're in your 50s, if you're in your 60s, if you are in your 70s, if you experience revenge porn, please seek justice, get help. Yeah. If you're in a controlling relationship, please talk to someone, please get out. If you find yourself in just constant patterns, we have all been there. Seek help, seek a therapist. If you need somebody to talk to, I was going to say DM at the Real Play Podcast. I don't know how much we can help, but DM us if you need somebody to talk to.
We're here.
We're here to help. So yeah.
And I will say one thing to remember
is if you are 18 or under, that is child pornography.
It is.
Absolutely.
And that has higher stakes on the line. You can be charged with a federal offense. That can mess up your life. Voting.
That's going both ways.
Jobs. Exactly. So if you're 16 and he's 17, definitely don't do it. You don't need to be doing that anyway. But just know, getting caught, if a parent sees it, you can be on the pedophile registry. Yeah. Like it's serious. So that's one thing. I know we started with the 20s, 30s, and 40s, but then I was like, wait a minute, just so everyone's clear, under 18, that is child pornography. Even if it is your own 17-year-old body, it is child pornography. And like we said, this happens a lot. There are organizations out there that are fighting. Like she said, Kamala Harris is got the bill that she's working on. And like I said earlier, the Cyber Civil Rights Initiative is a nonprofit. They've got resources, 24-hour assistance. They have referrals. They have places where there's victim stories. So you know that and some of them are anonymous, so that you know that you're not the only one that's going through this. So just reach out, do a Google search, talk to a friend, talk to a counselor. Just know it's not your fault. You should have made better choices on taking the pictures, but we've all made bad choices in life. So don't hold it against you, and don't let the predator manipulate you as the victim.
Yeah. I didn't want to make light of the situation, but I was 2.5 seconds from singing, "You are not alone," because you were.
You're not.
You three y'all. You want to do it? Y'all want to?
Yes, because you should do it, because I had to sing by myself. Let's do it. Ready?
Okay. No, I ain't gonna. I'm scared.
You let me do it on audio. I mean, I also can cut it out, but I won't. Go ahead.
You are not alone.
Y'all sound good.
I'm here with you. That was a good song. You're always in my arms. Okay, let me stop. We gotta get serious.
Y'all have too much fun on here.
But yeah, so before we roll out, we want to make sure, Joan, do you have any last words of wisdom you want to give anybody? I know you're not on social media, so there's no way that they can contact you if they wanted if they wanted to know more or ask questions. They can always DM us at The Real Play Podcast or email us at therealplaypodcast@gmail.com. And we will definitely reach out to Joan. I see her all the time. I talk to her all the time. Tuesdays, we getting back at it. We gotta get our books, right? The class starts back in September, I believe. So if you want to get in contact with Joan, you can just definitely go through us. And if you want to share your stories, like I said, I have a story. I have no problem saying this is what I did in my early 20s. We can share that. We can talk about it. And just know you are not alone.
You all gave very good resources and very good support. So, yeah.
Men or women. So we're talking about this from the woman's perspective, but we know women can be just as trifle and do the same thing. So brothers, if you're out there, don't feel as though
we're not talking to
you. Like we're saying guys are bad and they're gonna just drop all the pictures when you break up. Women will do the same thing, and if it's happened to you, you're one in the 1 in 25, because it says Americans.
Exactly.
Yes, more African or people of color and more women have it happen to them, but you're an American, 1 in 25. Look around you. Look around your homeboys. It's probably happened to one of them. So, anyways, Ebony, you got anything to wrap this one up with?
I have two. So the first quote says, if you aren't good at loving yourself, you will have a difficult time loving anyone, since you'll resent the time and energy you give another person that you aren't even giving to yourself.
Agreed.
And the next one is, be gentle with yourself. Learn to love yourself, to forgive yourself. For only as we have the right attitude towards ourselves, we can have the right attitude towards others.
Those are some good positive vibes.
Positive vibes.
That's good. Google did not fail to come through.
Come on, Pastor Google.
It was good, Ebony. Thank you. Hopefully y'all got some good things, some good content you can pull out.
I think we had a great episode. I thank you for the transparency, because I know it wasn't easy to talk about the intimate sides of, the relationship that you want to probably forget. And talking about it right now can stir up some emotions that you've had buried. So thank you.
I had to pray. Honestly, the other day, like when I started looking through the emails, I said, no, God, no, I cannot keep looking at this stuff. I have to let it go. Like, Lord, it's not welcome in my today. No. So yes, I didn't think that it was going to be hard though. It's crazy.
Oh, good. And this is your release, and you helped a lot of people. I'm going to send this to my niece, one of my nieces after this, so that she can listen. I think you can help millennials who haven't even gone through, started to date yet, or they're dating and don't really, sometimes you're in stuff and you're not conscious of what can happen. And so you've helped people with the outcome. Maybe someone has the same story as you that you're helping. So thank you, like Sierra said, for being transparent, being honest, and sharing your story with us. We appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, ladies.
Yes, thank you, Joan.
It's good to talk to y'all.
It is. At any point, we're gonna have our BYO
audience. Y'all need an audience. I love to sit here and y'all need some kind of way so we can just come and be like, oh my God, that's good conversation. I love it. And I was telling Sierra, I'm not much of it's like on the last one you all had, I didn't engage, but I enjoyed it. I love to hear dialogue. So yeah.
So maybe for the second season, me and Sierra will come and start doing YouTube. But right now we're just yeah. So
we working to that.
I'm one of your biggest fans. So
thank you, Joan.
You're welcome, ladies. Y'all have a good night. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I just wanted to go ahead and just thank you again. And we're going to go ahead and just say bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on all social media platforms at The Real Play Podcast.
We would love to hear from you, so leave us a comment, DM, or voice note. And don't forget to come hang out with us on our next episode.